Yo, um, here we are. This and this. Am I flushed? Oh my goodness, I am. So here's the deal. My stomach actually hurts pretty bad right now. um, okay, this looks different. I guess it's the safety settings. I don't know. Things change, as I've mentioned, frequently online. It's one of those things where we're taught that there's, law and order, hundreds of years old, but in practice, it never works like that. You still have to learn what those laws are, and facts are that when it comes time, there's usually, more information than the precedent. 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 Precedence is used in law. It's been a common practice to try and imply that there's no further information needed because a ruling was deemed or determined a certain way previously, and because law is always just and etc. That means you should go with that and use that. And that would be great if more people had access, for one, to the data that would incite these references. But as impressive as it is, I've never cited a precedent. I didn't study law, so maybe that's why. I did go to like a conference or two, but I didn't actually really study law. So for me, my argument is always that academia is very sort of accommodating. And so I use a lens of, education and knowledge. When I learn about certain policies or departments, I use that information as my argument. I've never won that way, but I still think it's the right way to do it. Okay. What do I know? Like I said, my stomach really hurts. I was just trying to do some stretching of my belly area. Be surprised actually how much tension, it's like releasing tension in your arms can help relax your stomach. Your posture, sitting in a certain a certain way can help to sort of concentrate. Probably know that, you think your stomach hurts and you just want to like lay down or something. I totally get that. Because it seems kind of like a crazy person thing to like want to mess with something that's aching. But this is just a few pages, and we'll see if I can finish. I did some rearranging today because I spilt a Milky's on the rug. Oh, you can't see. Anyways, I put it down behind me. I washed it. What I like to do for bigger things, and I have a small washing machine, but if you roll things like hot dog way and sort of, like make like a spiral, you can wash like comforters and rugs and things like this. So, all right. Day 2. You're not alone. I can see angels sitting on your ears, polishing trumpets, replacing lute strings, stretching new skins on the drums, and gathering wood for evening's fire. They all danced last night, but you did not hear them. Hafiz from I Can See Angels, The Gift, translation by Daniel Ladinsky. Why do we feel alone? We know intellectually that we can't be. Even the least scientifically inclined has heard enough physics to know that we are made of energy. Thank you, Albert Einstein, for a formula so simple that even I, who barely scraped through algebra, can understand it. And if we're all energy, then it isn't much of an intellectual leap to realize we are all connected. So why then, if we understand the way the universe is constructed, do we feel alone? I do not have an answer for this. It seems to be the human dilemma. We are all one, but on any given morning, we can wake feeling like one lone person chasing answers, one soul seeking peace, one heart seeking hope. I know I'm not alone, but I can still feel alone. So every day I stand in front of my altar and say again out loud what I know to be the truth. I don't say it for heaven. Heaven already knows. I say it for me. I say the words to remind myself that Spirit is with me, my guides are with me, my guardian angel is with me. I know the Archangel Michael is with me. And the Archangel Gabriel, she's with me. She has to be. She is the loving protectress of all writers. I call on her and her copper orange light every time I write. I know my parents are with me too. Dad has appeared to me as a cardinal, his favorite bird, for years. He shows up in the tree outside my dining room window at dusk. When I hear his chirps, I stop, say hello, and thank him for watching over me. After Mom died in 2007, I wondered when she'd show up. One evening last winter, Dad peeped his twilight hello. I went to the window and asked, "Where's Laureen?" Immediately, his beautiful orange mate flew to the tree. I cried tears of greeting and thanksgiving. Since then, they've always come as a pair. On a long walk recently, I felt lonely and scared and said in a whisper, "Mom, Dad, I need you." I rounded the corner, and there they were in an oleander bush at eye level, just 18 inches away. I am not alone, and neither are you. But do you know who is with you? It could be angels, saints, spirit guides, animal messengers, loved ones, goddesses, fairies. It could be a whole chorus of helpers. In fact, it probably is. Wouldn't life be easier and a whole lot more fun if you knew who was with you and how to turn to them for help? There are several things you can do to become more aware of your companions. Start with deep soul writing. Ask who's with you. Ask for a sign, something unmistakable. Then pay attention to what happens. Take nothing for granted, nothing. Angels, I swear, have a wacky sense of humor. Don't assume something small or weird or odd isn't a signal from them. Last fall, for example, a penny miraculously showed up on my teaching table as I was concluding a Writing Down Your Soul workshop in Austin, Texas. I gasped, held it to my heart, and whispered, "Thank you." As we were saying goodbye, a woman told me she'd found the penny on the floor and put it on my table. I thought, oh, well, I guess this one wasn't from the angels. When I got home that night, there was a shiny penny smack in the middle of my bedspread. I laughed. Sorry I ever doubted you. Over my crib, my mother hung a painting of a huge guardian angel walking behind a little girl. That painting reminded me every day that my guardian angel was with me. So angels have always felt real to me. But if you don't have a relationship with angels or wonder if they're even real, the book for you is Angels in My Hair by Lorna Byrne, who has seen and talked with angels since she was a baby. An easy way to get a message from the angels is through angel cards. I like all of Doreen Virtue's angel oracle decks, but my favorite is the Archangel Oracle cards. On the anniversary of my ex-husband's death, a date that is always wrenching for our son, I got down on my knees on my prayer rug and begged the cards for a comforting message for Jerry. I breathed on the cards and drew the card called Hello from Heaven. The card's message from Archangel Azrael said, "Your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings." Once I stopped crying, I called Jerry. He was so grateful for the message. If you'd like to have a personal conversation with the angels, have an angel guidance reading. My favorite angel guidance reader is Margot Mastromarchi. Anytime I'm facing a big decision or need clarification, I schedule a reading with Margot. Rest assured, the angels had plenty of input on this book. Margot and I occasionally host live conference call events with the angels. The angels tell Margot the topic. Members of the event submit questions, and through Margot, the angels answer them during the call. Somehow, everyone receives exactly the message she needs. Animals can be messengers too. In Writing Down Your Soul, I tell the story of the osprey who landed in the tree outside my bedroom window the morning I woke, knowing I was afraid of my husband. The osprey stayed with me for a year and a half. Every afternoon, he'd scream until I'd run into the backyard and show him I was fine. Ospreys have appeared as my protectors ever since. If I sense an animal as a messenger, I stop and ask it to tell me why it came. I also look up the mystical meaning in the book Animal Speak by Ted Andrews, or in Medicine Cards, an oracle deck by Jamie Sams, David Carson, and illustrator Angela Wernick. The proposal for this book got finished with the help of a woodpecker. The rhythm of her pecking on the wood outside my window motivated me to keep pecking at the computer. In Animal Speak, Ted Andrews says the message of a woodpecker is, the foundation is there. It is now safe to follow your own rhythms. I finished the proposal in 2 days. The moment it was complete, I rushed to the window to thank the woodpecker. She flew off, never to be seen again. It doesn't matter how you go about becoming aware of your support team. What matters is knowing you're not alone, calling for help and recognizing the presence of your guides. Get to know and love your divine team. They will be your best friends from now on, and don't forget to say thank you. Reflect. Who are my guides? Are angels around me? Animal messengers? Something else? Do I know? If not, what do I want to find out? How do my guides show up? When have I been aware that I am not alone? What messages or comfort have they given me? How can I work more closely with my angels and guides? Right. Dear voice, I love this idea of not being alone, but the truth is, I do often feel alone. I can slip so easily into that black space where I feel no one is with me, no one is listening. Then I pick up a pen and start to write, or something else happens, and I sense I'm being guided. I like to have that feeling all the time. I'd love to walk this earth knowing I am guided and protected. Help me see that, know that, feel that. Who are my guides? How am I guided? Help me tune into them and their guidance so I can be stronger, clearer, more connected all the time. I love that. Explore. If you have a relationship with your guides and angels, continue to say hello every day. Keep the conversations alive. Ask for help. The angels, according to Lorna Byrne and Margot Master Marquis, love being asked to help. So ask with vigor. Ask your angels to let you know they are there. Then keep your antenna out. They may communicate with you in some interesting ways. If you have oracle cards that you like, use them to ask for information about your guides. If you don't, look at sample decks at metaphysical bookstores or ask your friends if they can recommend a deck. If nothing else, say out loud that you want your guides to show up and let you know they're there. Something will happen. They'll send you some kind of signal, but you have to pay attention and acknowledge the message. Nourish. I am not alone. I have a loving spiritual support team. Want more? Read Angels in My Hair or Stairways to Heaven by Lorna Byrne. Check out Margot Master Marquis' website, Oracle of the Dove, oracleofthedove.com. This is so hard. Seriously. All right. It's backwards, like when I move it. I don't think that's normal, man. You know, like bending time and space over here. A couple things that's like obviously kind of creepy, you know. But so I don't write that much since I've been over here. I have tried to write a few papers, but my hand cramps when I just try to write a letter, like a small letter. And so I tend to do this for that reason, because I can do more and I can get it done faster. It's not exactly the same, but I do consider my vocabulary as I speak similarly to how I write. So, and I've been using the same words for so long. So that's kind of part of why I can do this and it feel comparable to writing. It takes some practice, you know, learning your discourse, if you will. It's a political term we use to describe how we talk about politics or how we talk about our platform. But discourse is a niche term, and you can develop a certain kind of language to talk about things. You know, for example, instead of saying like, you know, something that seems, you know, more questionable or insecure, you know, I like to use terms for welfare that signal opportunity rather than some sort of disadvantage. And you have to really spend some time to mindfully check yourself on, the words you use in conversation, because it makes a big difference. When I was younger, I used to love to decipher people's dreams. I did it for years and my own mostly, but I very often would ask people if I could look something up for them. And I would spend time putting that together in a text message or whatever like that. I had paid for a chart one time, but I didn't pick it up. That was forever ago. I have had my cards read a couple of times at a party, and it went really well. I don't personally know how to use those. That's a little bit above my pay grade, but in the right setting and things like this, I think that it can be a really rewarding experience. And of course, about the animals, I have animals here, and we're mostly on top of each other all the time. So it's not really just a matter of asking them why they're here, because I feel like I need to feed and water them and things like this and entertain them. And so I don't really bother with asking why they're here. It's usually for reasons more than I can provide. And that's really a source of a lot of my anxiety. But anyways, so interesting little read here. I think I don't know. There's just so much information to get inspired by, and I think ultimately it shouldn't be presented, or you shouldn't be embarrassed because you don't know how to worship it. You're allowed to just try to give it a pass over without too much judgment, and see if anything sounds good. Anyways, I'm a mess. I freaking had to get into my my spring rolls or whatever, like right out of the oven, and shredded my mouth, and still losing my voice, and my stomach hurts, and I'm all flushed because I was doing like fascia work, fascia, Fascia, I think. So excuse me, it's about time for me to retire, but I did want to do this first. I'm sitting here like stressing out because for as much as it seems like I have an opportunity to be a provocateur, the biggest crux for me is that a healthy life isn't really sensational. It's not really it doesn't really add up, that like everything that I talk about is just about peace and stability, and I'm supposed to be provocative about that. And it has a very physical affect. So anyways, did some vocal work this morning. I tried to sing a song, but I get a lot of one-sided sort of offenses, like where I can have a history, of perfect conduct for years, but then the one time I say, a bad word, and my entire lifestyle is jeopardized, and I'm just completely, uh, hurt, like hurtled into this this space of um, like being constrained, and people think, well, if it's that bad, then you have to keep going at it. But, it's without invitation, it's without apology, because people are in their own world, on their own, timeline, and maybe aren't even aware that I'm still carrying around all of this, um, you know, anxiety and whatnot. I always tell myself, like, if people knew, I really feel like they wouldn't act that way. But time and time and time and time, literally 100 times over in a row, it happens. And it's so mind-boggling that I just really wish and pray and beg that I could be told what the right thing to do is. But I get a response that is so hostile, that is so aggressive, that is so cruel, like telling me to go to the emergency room, or telling me that I should try some particular drug that I don't want to, or telling me that, it's a matter of my agency or my proactivity. And that's not an answer for me, because I hear that so many times too. Like you've said it one time and I've heard it 50 times. And and it's just a terrible, 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 terrible way to live. But I I'm here. I'm still getting up in the morning and doing what I can. I just lost access to Instacart. I tried to delete my account, and they locked it instead, which, next to having a financial institution call the police on me after they extorted me, it's high up there. The food desert situation, not having transportation, not having a lifeline to call, and having another thing be taken away from me, is just a terrible thing. So, times like these when I turn to my my studies, my diligence, my integrity, that somebody here is trying to offer something constructive. So do that, and I just, I just hate to feel like the fact that I've said things hundreds of times, like that's the problem. It's just very strange. On the one hand, it's very natural for me to repeat myself because I feel like I haven't been heard. And then on the other, I feel guilty because this sentiment that I'm not alone. I would love to just keep my head down and just do what I need to do, but incessantly, constantly, nonstop, there's something that comes up. It puts itself in my way, and it tells me that it's going to prevent me from doing something, or it's going to take something from me, and does. So that's my issue, is that no matter how hard I try to mind my own business, there's always some exceptional incident almost every day. That's the thing, is like something crazy happens almost every single day, which is worth, mentioning. So, like for instance, sometimes I like to smoke to settle my stomach. I'm outside and these sugar ants start showing up, and I put my glasses on when I smoke because I don't want to cause a fire. But, then it's also because there's all these little things around me. And, I have to talk to them and tell them, like, not me, don't, you don't want me, go over there. And, I never really talked to ants before, so I think that's worth mentioning, per the topic of this reading today. And I would just like to offer, this sentiment that, I did not mark this video for children, not because I'm reading a self-help book, because I actually read self-help books when I was young. And I think it's a good time to do it. But in trying to offer a glimpse of integrity to the youth, and, sort of a message, a warning message that, things aren't all figured out and you really do have to put in a lot of effort. I think that's something that I just really wish I could impress upon adolescent, is that, of course, I hope that they have, healthy homes, but even still, it's never too early to start taking responsibility and being accountable. And I say every single day, many times over, I say, bless the children. I say, dear Lord, bless the children. I say it like 100 times a day. And I feel like I need to say that to somebody else today. So, I just really pray that, although I am really monopolizing, my access to social media, that, it doesn't get to the point that it is burdensome to anyone, and that, that people hear the right message that will be most palatable and digestible and easy to comprehend, and that I don't, get used differently. I feel like I interact with so many people who only think that they'll have to interact with me that one time. And so they're so brute and so absolute and, fixed. And it's so contrived, and it feels very insincere, and there's no one to follow up with. And sometimes even on a customer service request, I'll be forced to talk with 5, 6 people on one request. And I've done this 100 times, So it's very taxing. It is a huge part of living here because I have no income, and I don't have the legal resources that I would like. So, for me, this lifestyle is very coupon lady lifestyle, and that requires a lot of work. So, I just pray that people understand that I am struggling, and that's not what I want for the American dream, for, for well, I would like to expand on that, but basically, I don't think I'm really the best example of like an average. But as far as a case study goes, it is my hope that, nobody will have to start with, anything less than what I learn to accept as the lowest common denominator. And that people find the strength and the courage to stand up for what they believe in, rather than, trying to do this like backwards negotiating, where you act like you're playing on the same team as your enemy just so you can find one thing to flip on them. Because that's going to take a long, long, long time. You might as well marry them. You know what I'm saying? Because you aim for a world of hurt that way. And truth be told, you're probably getting a lot more arguments trying to be benevolent or, righteous. Is actually probably more confrontational than pretending to be a bad guy. But ultimately, the payout, over the reward is great. It's a huge difference in disposition, in conduct, demeanor. It's literally two completely opposite sides of the scale. And I hate to break it to you, but most people have been pretending to be a double agent just so they can get that one jab in. And that's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. So, it's difficult to do the right thing. And for some reason, it really feels very threatening at times, less safe to say that you don't want to fight. It seems more scary to say, you want to nourish yourself or something. Um, it's crazy how people who are too busy or too arrogant will shut down any attempt at self-care. You don't have to talk to those people, maybe. But at some point, you're probably going to be in a very similar position where you have to stand up for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself through ethics. You have to say, what I want for me is the same thing that I could offer you. And that's why I'm not going to argue with you. And you have to let it go and walk away as best you can. It's a very difficult thing to do. But my thing that I was expressing this morning is that, there are associations with my name. There was associations with my old name. As I already mentioned, I like to do, this sort of like exploration of things. Dylan means son of the sea, and Persephone means something too. Neither of those names are connotated with religion. I'm not trying to be a guru or anything like that, a teacher. I identify the way that I do in order to signal to you that I have boundaries. Very, very, very real boundaries. And not just that, but that in setting boundaries and also being a life-seeking individual, looking forward to the the springtime, etc. That means that there's sort of a transcendence or a resurrection or a growth, and wherein I am forced to stay in certain environments, or wherein I'm forced to be around certain people, I am prevented from, fully developing. And I become very aware of that. And I start to really dislike myself because of those detainments, because of those constraints. And so it's not just someone being paternalistic, it's someone who refuses to accept change. And then I really start to hate myself because of that, because I recognize the areas that need to, and I'm prevented from doing that. And so it's not a matter of being repentant. It's just a matter of being and hopefully that makes more sense over time.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.